Hey, it's Tate Haver with Texas Football. Thank you for watching Third and Longhorn. Like and subscribe. Hook 'em.
What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another interview edition of Third and Longhorn. Today we have a very special guest, Mr. Tate Haver. Tate, welcome.
Let's go, baby. Thank you guys for having me.
Thank you for joining us, brother.
So, Tate, we always start these off the same way. I know you were actually committed to Boston College before you came to Texas. Talk about how you got to Texas.
This is kind of a interesting story that I haven't really told too many people before. But so my dad lives out in Boston, and I'm originally from Boston. So It had always been just like a dream to go back there, like live closer to my dad, and then also be able to go to the Celtics games, Red Sox games, do all that kind of fun stuff. So I go on my first visit to Boston College, and then they offered me, and I was like, oh shoot, like I have an offer now. Like this has been like one of my dream schools. It was a great day. I feel like I found my home. So I committed, and then went out to dinner, celebrated with the family, stayed over at my friend's house after that. And right when I was going to bed, I had like this really like weird feeling that like I committed here, but I have a feeling that I'm not going to end up here in the end. It was like, I don't know. I've never really felt like something like that before. And, so just kind of just like blew it off a little bit. Just like, I don't know, maybe it's just like a little bit nervous that I just made this big decision and stuff like that. Fast forward to, the day that Arch committed, I had become friends with him previously because our parents are friends. So I just like reached out and said like, congrats on committing to Texas. Like I'd always considered Texas. It was really Texas, Duke, and Boston College were the three schools. And when he committed here, he was like, thank you. Like, he's like, you should check it out. And I was like, maybe that's like what I needed to hear to kind of bolster like I don't really know if it's like confidence, but bolster like maybe like my decision to maybe reconsider things. Yeah. So I literally, when he said that, I started like talking to my mom. I was like, what would you think about me like deciding between Texas and Boston College? And she's like, oh, like you should just think about it, but like I'm going to support you no matter what. And I think that was a big thing. So then I texted Coach Banks and Coach Crosby and was just like, hey, if you guys need a walk-on long snapper, like you guys are the only school I would decommit from Boston College to come to. And they're like, yeah, we would love to have you out for a visit and stuff like that. And it was actually the last weekend of when you could have recruits on campus. So I wasn't able to go out there because I'd kind of missed the window. And they had come back. They're like, sorry, like obviously like, sorry that we couldn't have you out here. Like we're going to give you an offer for a preferred walk-on. And I was like, I committed right on the spot and there was like no second thought in my mind. I'd never been to Austin before. I'd never visited. I was just like, I feel like I just like knew what I was going into and knew that it was going to be a place that if it was like 50 feet underwater, then I probably wouldn't like it. But other than that, I think there's nothing about Austin that I've only heard great things about Austin. So it's like, I feel like there's nothing that I'm not going to like coming here. So that was like my big decision, and my parents were supportive of it. And I think looking back on it, it's definitely like one of the best decisions that I've ever made.
It seems like you love the city, no doubt. And that makes sense. We all fell in love with the city. Yeah. What about the program attracted you to the program Texas Football?
I think just like how big of a brand it is, and like how great like the business school is here, and how great like the academics and the connections are. Yeah. Like you really can't beat it, because just like I'll be walking through an airport and like the most random place in the country, and you'll see a few people with like Texas hats on and shirts on, like, and then I'll be wearing mine and they'll be like, hook 'em. And just like, you find them everywhere throughout the whole country. I feel like it's a very like rare university and rare thing to be able to find a connection in pretty much every city you go to, because I mean, it's just the opportunities I feel like are just endless here. And then put on top of that, like amazing football, amazing coaches, like amazing teammates. Like, I mean, there's really like nothing better than what's going on in Austin right now.
Man, Tay, you should sell.
I know. We got our sales pitch right now. You're talking about your teammates, and I'm very curious because Nick and I were bringing this up a little bit. So you grew up Westlake Hills.
Yeah, so I grew up
Cali, right?
and so I live over in Malibu, but I go to school over in Westlake Village. So do the drive, and my brother was there. So the reason I went to Oaks Christian High School is because my brother went there, and then just kind of tagged along. And they have a great football program. They had like Kayvon Thibodeau and Matt Corral and Zach Charbonnet.
That's probably good.
And all those guys, like Jimmy Clausen, like the Clausen brothers went there.
Yeah.
So it's just like a great football program with great coaches and like great academics, which kind of helps like bolster your resume to get you into an amazing university like this.
Big time. What's the conversations that you have with like Michael Taft and Cody Bassett?
The real Westlake.
That went to Westlake.
I've never actually like really talked to them about like being from like Westlake Village, because our rival is Westlake High School. So I don't really like, I consider myself like a part of Westlake Village, but I wouldn't say like I'm like a Westlake native just because
So
they're
you
a
wouldn't
rival.
be like, I'm the real Westlake.
Exactly. Yeah. I think it would be different if I went to Westlake
I
High
thought you was
School.
about to take that like totally different. I want to talk to those guys because they went to Westlake and Austin.
There's like
we don't fool with them. That's what I thought
yeah.
you was going with that.
Yeah, I thought it was interesting. Like when I saw that they were from Westlake, I didn't know that there was a Westlake out here. So I feel like there's a Westlake in a lot of states that I've kind of figured out to find. But yeah, I've
You
never
thought they
really
went to your rival school.
No, I knew that they didn't go to my rival school, but I was like, it's kind of interesting, like how many different like Westlakes there are like, throughout the United States.
They all think they're the best league too.
Right.
Yeah. Tate, when you being a long snapper, we've played football for a while, and we all know long snappers. I don't know if they're born; they're really made, right?
Exactly,
You have a position, Pee Wee, the junior high and high school. What position did Tate play, and he was pretty good at until he said, "I'm a little bit better at long snapping."
Actually, I didn't start playing. So I started playing tackle football. My first year was 7th grade.
Okay.
And then I was like, I don't really know if I like this. Like, just kind of like, I think I may just stick to like baseball and basketball. And then my freshman year of high school, our senior long snapper was going off to Utah State, and they needed somebody to like long snap. So I was like, I might as well just like come in and see if I'm better than any of the other guys that they have, and maybe use this as like an opportunity to go to a university that, I mean, it's so hard to get in here like academic wise. So maybe use this as a way that I can get into like a really good university through football and academics. So just kind of use that as like my process of like being like, all right, I should probably just put my time and effort into this and stick to this and not play any other positions, because like if I were to get hurt, then it not only hurts my team, but it also would hurt like my ability to maybe get to a good college that I wanted to go to. Mm-hmm. So I was like, I'm going to sacrifice the fun of playing other positions to really focus on long snapping and try to be the best that I can be at that, and use that to my ability.
I've never, that's great, right? That's very mature to do that, because I've never heard a story like that. Like usually Cullen left, like there's certain people, that long snappers that are really good. They started out a whole nother, tight end or whatever,
like
a whole nother position.
Luke Rhodes in the NFL, he was a linebacker all throughout college and picked up long snapping as just like to get into the NFL, and he's been in the league and was in the Pro Bowl and stuff like that. So it's like, a lot of them start as being like linebackers, tight ends, that kind of caliber. But I feel like it's becoming more prevalent now that people are like just becoming like, I'm going to long snap and I'm going to just like make sure that I make that my craft. Yeah, and master it. Less of like I'm going to play another position and my secondary position be a long snapper on the team. So I feel like it's kind of shifting more towards like, it's like a really like specialty position.
And it doesn't matter till it matters, right? When something happens,
and every team needs a long snapper, and yet you're right, they rarely get like scholarship, like the offers for scholarships, and they don't get drafted. But yet every team needs them. So you're right. I mean, that's a great way to make a roster.
Exactly.
Whether it be in college or the league, it's like, no, we'll come in and bring you in and see if you can deep snap.
And for example, like 2 years ago when the Bengals played the Packers, the Bengals long snapper got hurt during the game, and the game went into overtime because like both of the kickers were just missing kicks, but the Bengals were having trouble with their long snapping because they didn't have a long snapper, and they had to put the back like a tight end in, and they actually ended up losing the game because of that. So just like things that you don't like think about in like that facet, that it can like really like lose you games, and also like be like a detriment to like your season, because since there's only 18 games now, it's just like, or 17 or 18, whatever it is now, that like one loss can really determine if you are making the playoffs or not.
No, Tate, if I have a son, I got a daughter now, but if I have a son, I'm gonna pay you good money to teach him how to deep snap from the time he's like 5 years old. So he can be like like Tiger Woods of deep snapping, and he like put the laces wherever, and then he like walk on to any university, any program, and then go to the NFL and possibly play in the league. And you're on to something, brother. Exactly. Start a little academy, man. I'm telling you. And people would just put their kids in, like they put them in there, make them a deep snapper.
Yeah, I always get like DMs on Instagram from like younger long snappers, just like, hey, like, could I send you some video and stuff like that? And do you mind just like helping me out? I'm like I'll obviously always like see the message and like respond to them and watch the video and like help them, like critique them.
That's
like
that's dope.
With all honesty too. Like I'm not just gonna say like, oh, that was like really good. Like like everything looks perfect. Like if they ask me to review their film, like I want to be like helpful to them rather than like steer them in the wrong direction and say that they're perfect, because nobody's perfect. I'm not perfect. Like even the NFL snappers aren't perfect, but I feel like just like helping them and doing that kind of stuff, like the best that I can, is like just a benefit to kind of everybody.
Going in even a little bit deeper from that perspective, you talked about the specialty of what deep snapping is, and taking the mindset that you have and the maturity level that you have. You went out to Vegas at the Rubio long snapping event, came out as the national champion.
Yeah.
Whoa. Tell me about that experience. Tell me about the competition around you, and then tell me what it consists of being able to come out as a national champion.
Yeah. So pretty much there's I don't know how many long snappers. There's probably like 200 from grades levels senior year of high school to sixth grade, and pretty much they have you doing drills. Like I think it's like it's a 2-day event during like the weekend in May, and you like the first day is pretty much just like getting everybody just like snapping, like working like some drills and stuff like that. And then the second day is when they have like a target, and then there's one square like at like what would be like the punter's head, one square what would be like the punter's hip, and then another one which would be like for more like field goal, but they still count it as like a point if you get it. Like more like the punter's like shins and foot. And they really base it off of how many points you like, a high score of points, and then also your snap speed. So the funny thing was that after I went, I personally didn't think I did that well. So I was kind of mad about it. And I was like, Dad, like maybe we should just like start driving back to Los Angeles. And my dad was like, no, like you might as well, like we paid for the camp and did all that stuff. Like you might as well just go and just see what happens. So then I scored better than I thought I did. And I can't remember like what seed, because they picked like the top 12 guys from the camp. Yeah. And so I guess I scored good enough to, I think I was like maybe like a 4 or something like that. And then basically it's just they paired up like a bracket. So it's like you versus I don't know who the 4 yeah. So you kind of know how it is. Yeah. So it's like the 1 versus 12 and all that stuff. So I was paired up against some like really good snappers, and it's basically like everybody, the rest of the camp is like creates like a tunnel for you, and then there's like one steel target, and pretty much it's just like pressure snaps. So you'll snap, and like you have to get like, I can't remember how many points you have to get, but if you score good, then the next guy goes, and if he'll like have to like kind of like match you in a way or reach like a target score. Yeah. So I went through the whole thing and ended up winning it all, which was really cool. And obviously happy that I listened to my dad and stayed, because probably was me more of like a self-critic than I needed to be. But yeah, it was good.
Well, mate, I think you have like such a unique football story, and I found out more about you when we were just talking to you beforehand. But so obviously your stepdad is the GM of the Los Angeles Rams. Sir. So you've been around football for a minute, but talk a little bit about your family ties and growing up around the game. And I know you gave some other nuggets about other family members.
So to start off, my mom was a sports reporter. So she was a sports reporter for NFL Network for many years, doing sideline reporting, doing in the NFL Network in Los Angeles with Dion and Rich Eisen and Michael Irvin. And so I grew up, maybe just being like a kid, like I grew up around like Dion and Michael Irvin and all them, but I didn't really know who, like know like the stature that they like held in the game.
Yeah.
Co-workers of his mom. Just like these guys.
They used to play
from the office.
They're my mom's friends.
Yeah, so I used to hang around the vending machine a lot when my mom was working, and so Dion would always come in there, and he used to call me vending machine because I would always be just like chilling at the vending machine. So then my mom married my stepdad when he was a scout for the Falcons, and he got the job for the Rams in 2012. So me and my mom moved out to St. Louis. So I was there for from 3rd grade to 5th grade and got to experience, like I grew up around some really, really good players and like guys. Johnny Hecker, the punter, that's like, I would account that to one of the reasons why I decided to be a specialist.
Yeah.
Chris Long, he was like one of the people I was closest with. Like we saw him a few years ago, went over to his house in Montana and got to catch up. And then Tavon Austin was really, really cool. He was like he would always just be like so nice and all that kind of stuff. And then Sam Bradford obviously went to Oklahoma, but he was a really good guy besides that. And yeah, like just growing up around like those kind of guys and like athletes, like I never really saw them as the people that they were on the field. I saw them as like who I knew them as, like Sam and who like Tavon and all of them. Like I didn't like, obviously they were great on the field, but I knew them as like better people.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's kind of like something like Aaron Donald is like, he's so nice. Like he's just like, he's obviously just a monster on the field, but like
killer.
Yeah, he's a great person. Matthew Stafford and Cooper Kupp and all those guys are just like, they're just like such great people. And Puka, they're just like all amazing people, and I'm like super blessed to be able to grow up around them and kind of like learn like what it is like to be a professional, and then also like what it takes to make it to the NFL and be like such a like prominent star.
So I'm glad you let us in on that, especially you being around professionals.
Yeah.
I think that's priceless, right? Are there any long snappers in the league or on the LA Rams that you say, man, I get a chance to get some advice from NFL guys?
Yeah, so
speak on that.
When I was first starting, the special teams coach was Coach John Fossil, and he's now the coach over at the Cowboys, who I think is one of the greatest special teams coaches of all time. He's
absolutely.
He's even a better person than he is a coach, and he was, I remember my 7th grade year at training camp, like the first time that he was teaching me the form and stuff of how to hold the football, snapping, and all like the little like intricacies that kind of go with it. And I really like worked on that. And then Jake McQuaid was the long snapper for the Rams for many years. Grew up around him, and he would go to the park with me, and like I would snap with him, and he'd tell me like kind of like just like teach me, and it would also be like his training session too. So he used it as like a way where it's like a teaching period, but also like he's getting his work in as well.
Yeah.
And so yeah, I really like think that, I mean, like the help of those two, and then also Coach Jeremy Springer, who actually got me in contact with Coach Banks. He was the Rams assistant special teams coach and just got hired as the Patriots special teams coach this year, which he's really well deserved for that job. But yeah, I really like account like all my like where I've gone today to them, because they've really like poured into me and like allowed me to kind of like learn the position and also like how to be professional and just how to go about my business in orderly fashion.
Yeah,
that's so cool.
You've intrigued me. Give me the biggest celebrity you got in your phone contact.
Oh man, I don't know what that.
Who you got?
Now.
Man, he better think about that. I bet he got a few of them.
I
know you got. I know you got.
Name Dion. Those guys he already named.
Right, he already said.
I would say biggest celebrity would probably be, I mean, Sean McVay. I'd say Sean McVay.
Yeah, no doubt.
Yeah, I would say him.
How impressive is Sean McVay? I mean, he was the youngest head coach in NFL history at the time he got the gig, and still is known as being kind of a prodigy of sorts. Already a Super Bowl winning coach. Just from a football fan perspective, how impressive is Sean McVay?
I mean, he's so impressive. Like the amount of hours he puts in to getting like the Rams ready to go, and just like the hours that he spends scouting, and I feel like he's just created like such a good like rapport with Les that, like, I mean, it's just like so seamless, especially with the draft process, that they're always on the same page. They always like, you see some GMs and coaches that are bickering and kind of have some indifferences about who they want to draft, but they're like always on the same page, always like I agree, and not like, all right, like that's a dumb decision. Like we shouldn't do that. Like obviously they'll have those moments, but it's nothing like personal, and like they know, like they trust each other so much that they know that they're going to get the right player and right position that they need. And I mean, he's just like a really great guy. Like he always is like positive and just like always just a high energy, high motor, which I think I find a lot in Coach Banks is that he's always high energy, high motor. And I feel like I kind of like those kind of people because they keep me intrigued because sometimes I'll find myself like if somebody's saying some stuff that's not really like intriguing or like saying it in like a really like energetic kind of way, then I'll kind of find myself wondering. But I feel like being around those kind of people, they always have something exactly, having like those kind of just like people that are really engaging with everybody and also just like masterminds at their job is like super cool to be around and kind of get to know as individuals.
Tate, you're interesting, man. It's just cool. You know what I mean?
I think specialists are though, because Bert. Okay, tell me about Bert Auburn.
All right.
Yeah, exactly.
So
he's a show favorite.
Oh yeah.
Yes. Tell us about Bert Auburn, man. I know he's got. Speaking of quirky,
we've had him on here.
Yeah,
but we love him.
We're Bert Auburn fans.
Oh yeah,
that's why.
I'm a Bert Auburn fan as well. But
there we go.
I mean, Bert Auburn, he's funny. He's how do I explain Bert? He's just. He's like very professional, but at the same time, he's always joking around and also just like around like the other specialists, he's just like always joking around, always messing around, but always getting like doing his work and like making sure that like football's a priority, but also at the same time, he's gonna mess around a little bit and kind of do his thing and kind of joke around and give everybody like a little like I don't know. He's just a funny guy, but he's an amazing teammate to be around, and like I've become close friends with him because on my first visit here against TCU, he like just kind of showed me around campus and was just like a really like welcoming person, and I feel like he's always like been there for me and just kind of he's a great teammate to have, but he's super fun. It's gonna be sad when I'm still here and he's gonna go off to the NFL, but he's been awesome.
You're right. The specialists are interesting.
They're weird.
I'm thinking about when I was with the Chiefs, and they're all are. I mean, they all are. They do, and a lot of people don't know. And not that they're not part of the team, obviously, but they spend a lot of time on their craft or whatever. Enlighten the fans about the mindset of a long snapper before a game, right? Because before a game, we want to run through a wall.
Jacked up,
right? We're trying to get it. Is the mindset of a long snapper the same thing?
I can't speak for Lance and Christian Rizzi, but for me personally, I kind of like mess around with different things. Like I obviously keep like the same like game day routine and stuff like that, which is just like going out there doing like drills, come back in the locker room. But honestly, I'm kind of just like adapt to like whatever like the environment of the locker room is. Like I'm not really like a big, like I'm going to put on headphones and kind of just like be by myself. Like I kind of feel like since like long snappers only go in for like, we have like one play in, one play out pretty much. Yeah. It's kind of, for me personally, it's like, I feel like I'm like the same person that I am like pregame, on the field, off the field. Like I kind of like keep like the same kind of, just like the way I go about myself. I'm not really like a flip switcher. So
I don't think you need to exactly, really. I mean, you need to be the same guy every single time.
Exactly. Obviously,
we need you to be the same guy every single time.
Obviously, like if stuff goes on during the game or like things can get you like riled up or get you angry and stuff like that. But it's just kind of like keeping your like emotions and not letting like one snap that you may want to have back like affect the next one. I feel like that's like the most challenging thing is not letting a snap that maybe wasn't what you wanted to be, letting that like affect the next one. Cause I feel like it's a lot for specialists, like it's a lot of like the mental game of just like feeling like the confident, like feeling confident, go out there and do your thing. But I really feel like that I just kind of keep like the same, like I am how I am right now on the field, like before the game and in the locker room and stuff like that. Kind of just like being around like the environment and not like kind of isolating myself.
How many plays do y'all about? How many plays do you get? Because I got a question after you.
Let's say there's like
give or take.
Well, with us, with Texas, we'll say there's about maybe 2 punts per game. And then
on a regular,
including extra points.
So probably maybe like 8 to 10.
8 to
I'd
10.
say on average. Yeah.
So that's a great point, by the way. Because if I'm playing in a game, and Fozzy's playing in a game, Rob B's playing in a game, we get about 60.
Yeah. Exactly.
60
yeah. You
plays
guys get our reps all in one drive.
Right. And we can literally have 10 plays where we're like, man, we freaking sucked on these 10 plays.
Right.
It's unfair, but you can't.
Exactly. It's one play. It's one play.
And everybody's going to talk about it. Everybody sees it.
You don't want to know his name.
Yeah,
exactly.
If nobody knows your name, you've succeeded.
Yeah, exactly. You're doing a good job.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I think that's definitely like one of the big things about being a specialist is like, that if like one mistake is obviously you can't have one mistake, but you also can't think about that during the game because it's like when you think about something like, oh, I can't make a mistake, like that's when a mistake will happen.
True.
I feel like I've like learned that from my mom because she's really big into like reading and like just like pretty much anything because she went to Duke, so my mom and my dad both went to Duke, so it's pretty much like they are really big into reading, and like I feel like that's a benefit to me because I may not be as big into reading, but they can enlighten me. They can enlighten me on the stuff that they learn in these readings. And it's just like really like working on like your breathing and like slowing yourself down. And then also just like not thinking about what could happen because then it will happen. So I feel like that's like the biggest things. And she always like sends me this text before the game that kind of goes through like 10 things. And that's like one of them. And the breathing's another one, just to kind of just like remember stuff to like when you get in those high pressure situations to kind of remember and hone in on to like allow for like a good outcome to happen.
That's awesome because you do have time to think.
Exactly,
we don't have as much time to think, right?
Exactly.
Right? You do
like
have time.
Every sport plays a bigger role for those guys.
Big time.
Yeah,
Big
I agree with that 100%.
I want to dig a little deeper too. So DJ already talked about how you prepare for the game, but I also would love for you to share, hell, this is for even players on the team. What actually goes down at practice? What do you all do? During practice? Like me as a player, I didn't even understand. Like they be over there. Like I don't see them. And then we just come back together. All of a sudden we breaking it out. Specialists with us. We gone.
Yeah,
like,
pretty much.
What
Like we'll go up we'll be in the bubble and we'll warm up with Coach Castro and just kind of do like some like agility work, kind of get like our ankles and stuff good, and obviously like legs and arms and all that stuff. And then we'll go down for our first period, let's say on like a punt day. So we'll go down, do our punt reps, come back up. Then we'll chill for like maybe 2 periods, and then we'll.
What does chill mean?
Chill,
like y'all get to like just hang out. Like,
kind of just like hang out, kind of just like chop it up, talk.
Right.
Then
we over here dying individual.
Pitching up on the television.
And then we'll then like 2 periods before, or 2 or 3 periods like before we go back out for our next specialty like period. We'll like get ready again, kind of warm back up, and then to end then by then there's probably like a few periods left in practice, so we'll just kind of just like once again just kind of just chill, do all that kind of stuff, and then go back down for when Sark calls us up and head out. So it's a pretty chill practice, but we also do a good job of like getting our work in and making sure that we don't like take practice time for granted, so then it could lead into bad reps and stuff like that. So it's kind of making sure you're doing your work, but also like not overdoing it as well, because then like it's exactly.
So y'all are I think more mature than the other teammates because y'all have to manage some time. Y'all have to be grown ups over there.
Because we don't have that free time.
We kicking it.
And we'd have left the bubble. We'd have been walking on campus, like all of that. But I mean, during practice too, right? You talk about chill time. I know you're saying chopping it up, but mental reps probably play an important role for you all. Like,
exactly.
How are you handling pressure type situation? Game on the line, 3 seconds left. Like those types of mechanics. What's going through your mind during those practice reps? And then whenever the game actually happens, I feel like what keeps you centered?
I feel like it's kind of hard to really like mimic those kind of situations during practice. But Coach Banks and Coach Sark do a good job of like having us do, like we'll do a period where it's like red zone lockout. So we have to have a field goal in some of those situations. So they'll make it like a pressure situation kind of where, like, obviously the field goal unit's out there, the block unit's out there, and like we need a field goal. So it kind of gives you like a good rep of like what it would be like in one of the situations. But it's kind of hard to match exactly what it would be like.
Right.
But I think they do a good job of like intricating to the best of their ability what those situations will be like, and like kind of allow us to feel like the confidence that we're like prepared for those through those drills.
Yeah, Coach Brown used to have the giant speakers.
Oh yeah,
and he would play them as if like your crowd noise.
Yeah.
But then he also used to hire. I'm sure he did it with you all too. He used to hire people to like dress up. like A&M gear, and they would run out.
It would be the Spurs sometimes,
right? The Spurs would come in and they would dress up as like the other team, or like the yell leaders for A&M, or like, and then he would have them like run or be in the background whenever the kickers like Justin Tucker had to kick a field goal in practice with like the yell leaders, like the fake yell leaders
doing whatever
running
they're
behind him, doing their whole thing, and it's like. Is that something that you've seen Banks or
I have not seen that yet, but I wouldn't be surprised if it gets added at some point.
Right.
Because you said
my fault.
But I mean, they do have the speakers out. I feel like more when we're in DKR for they have like the sideline speakers out with the crowd noise. Mostly like for offense and defense. They may have done it for special teams. I can't really remember that well.
You in the zone?
Not like
you in the zone.
Not during this spring, but it could have been like during the season or something like that. But yeah, I think definitely that would definitely be a thing. I wouldn't be surprised about if it got added.
I haven't seen. I mean, because I don't know exactly what you guys do in the off season, the specialists. Because I don't know if Bert Arbin's getting swole or not. Do you guys have the same weight room like routine, or do you guys have something special that specialists do as opposed to
we pretty much
everybody else? We got squatting and everything.
Yeah, we're squatting, we're doing cleans, we're doing everything.
Really?
Pretty much. Yeah, we're doing pretty much the same itinerary as everybody else. Yeah,
I didn't realize that.
Yeah,
so Bert Arbin might be packing on some muscle then.
Oh yeah.
Look how much we cover Bert.
Yeah, Bert Arbin gets his love on this show. There's no doubt.
Well, that's awesome. Tate, man, we've taken up a bunch of your time, man. Thank you so much for being here. And this was awesome, man. I think we were all pretty enlightened by this one.
Yeah, thank you so much. Really appreciate you guys having me out.
Hook 'em.
Hook 'em.